Hi, this is Jordan Davis, and today we're talking again with Bob Frank, blues musician, educator, and passionate advocate for deep roots American music. Bob's latest album is called True Stories and Outrageous Lies, and his new podcast is called Blues You Should Know. Bob, last time we talked, you told us how you discovered blues music as a teenager, and it really kind of took over your life. You started your first blues band while still in high school, and you formed bands in Boston and in Cleveland as well. Somewhere along the line, you discovered bluegrass music, which, if not an equivalent, is a corollary to the country blues that was played by African Americans, bluegrass being an outgrowth of country music. Tell us where you first discovered that and how it came to occupy your attention for the next couple of decades, really.
Okay. Well, I had heard bluegrass music, growing up. It was on the Beverly Hillbillies, and you'd see it. You'd hear some things on the radio, and you'd hear some things here and there. When I went to college, I did go hear Bill Monroe in concert. There, I saw Don Reno. I saw the Lilly Brothers, Joe Val, and some other groups. I had the Will the Circle Be Unbroken album, which everybody had, but I wasn't. It wasn't my primary passion at that time. Then after college, I was hanging out with Jimmy Levin, the fellow that started the theater on the West Side.
Cleveland Public Theater, yes.
Yeah, he was still in law school. And one day Jim asked me, did I want to be the music director for a play he was in at the Fairmount Center for Performing Arts? So the play was called Diamond Studs, and it was this sort of bluegrassy, rootsy treatment of Jesse James. I said, sure, I wasn't doing anything else. And I think it paid $150. And the director knew two musicians that he felt would help kind of flesh things out. And he brought them in, and that was Paul Kovac and Jim Bloom. So after we did the play, they said, do you want to start a band?
After the theater production at the Fairmount Center for the Arts closed, that was out in the suburbs. I know you did a production later at the Cleveland Playhouse downtown.
Right. We actually did a couple. We tried out for a play there called Cotton Patch Gospel. And it used a 4-piece bluegrass band and one actor to tell this gospel story. And we got the job, and the play ran 14 weeks at the Playhouse. And it was so successful that the following year, we were hired to do another 14 weeks in Columbus at Players Theater. So we had to move to Columbus and do the play there for a few months. And then when we came back after that, the following year, we did another production of it at the Hannah Theater. So we did quite a bit of Cotton Patch Gospel. And that's really what got us set up locally. After that, we played pretty much everywhere. If there was a downtown festival or a concert series or rib cook-off or anything like that, we were there. Kind of like the way Carlos Jones is today. We played everywhere for a while. Around the time, a little after the time we started the band, I got an offer to go on the road with a group called the Fall City Ramblers, which was a kind of a bluegrass come jug band, hippie swing novelty group out of Louisville, Kentucky. So I went on the road with them, and we played all these festivals, and I really got to see all the top bluegrass names. And we were getting more into playing bluegrass in that band. And I was with them for a summer. And then when I came back to my group, I knew a little bit more about it, but I really wanted to learn to sing bluegrass. Now, there's more to singing bluegrass than just singing with an accent, When you listen to bluegrass and you want to sing, the first thing you think of is you want to sing the most exciting dramatic part, which is the high tenor, right?
Sure.
Well, I tried and I couldn't do it. And I couldn't understand why I couldn't do it. I tried everything. I tried stretching my exercises. And for a while, I thought maybe I wasn't screaming enough. So I tried screaming. Well, believe me, that didn't work. Eventually, I had to settle for the fact that I just couldn't hit those notes.
Who became your lead singer, your tenor?
That was Roland Cousin. And he came down from Canada in 1980 in the middle of making our first album. Roland and I became the central core of the band. Other people came and went. We called the band Hotfoot Quartet, kind of named after the band I had in high school, but not exactly. And the Fall City Ramblers broke up, and we took their fiddle player, a guy named Steve Slato, and he was intense is the best word I can describe him. Steve Slato wanted us to play jazz on bluegrass instruments, and we began working out all these like jazz standards and things, and I had to learn to play that. So I tried to teach myself jazz guitar, but I learned enough to do what I eventually wanted to do. So we had a bit of a rough time getting going. The bluegrass cognoscenti really didn't accept us until probably in the mid to late 80s. We added a fellow to the band named Phil Bunch, who was the real thing. He was originally from West Virginia, and he played with Jimmy Martin and Lawrence Lane and the Country Gentlemen and all these different people. And he helped us get some bluegrass cred, and we started to get better accepted. We had this insane repertoire. We were so hungry to learn this music that we were learning. I mean, we did almost every Bill Monroe song, at one time or another. We knew them all, probably over 1,000 songs. When Ron Jarvis joined the band later on, he said, "I'm not learning all these songs. Pick 50." How do you do that?
So you were playing in Northern Ohio. I know at some point you toured Canada all the way to the West Coast.
We played starting in 82, we were playing in Canada all the time. We started out playing clubs, and the clubs are all in hotels. Because there used to be a law that to sell liquor, you had to be a hotel so people wouldn't wander out into the cold and freeze to death. But we would play these hotels a week at a time. So you'd go up and play Monday through Sunday. And then after doing that for a year or two, we started to get hired at the big festivals. And we'd play all across Canada. We played from the Mariposa Festival in Toronto all the way to Vancouver and their festival. We played dozens of them. They weren't just we played a lot of bluegrass festivals up there, but we also played the big folk festivals where they would get 50, 60,000 people. We got to meet all kinds of people up there, which was even better, really, than meeting just bluegrass people. But there were bluegrass people there. I remember sometimes they would put you together. I remember Alison Krauss playing fiddle with us at one of them. And they were a lot of fun. They were great.
We've been talking with musician, producer, and educator Bob Frank. Bob has a new solo album of acoustic blues, and it's called True Stories and Outrageous Lies. In our next installment of this series, we'll hear about Bob's recordings with the Hotfoot Quartet and more. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you around in cool Cleveland.
This lonely night